time for the one and the only show. It's the Luke Howard Show Live. Woo! Hey! Thank you very much. Oh, thank you. Oh, no. Thank you. Thank you very much. Merrying all, it is the 14th of April today, and I hope everybody out there is well. Okay, so let's crack on with the show today, because we've got a lot to get through as usual. So, we're going to start off with talking about the advice from the same Stay at Home and Stay Lives, and this says coming down, and that's when you're in a negative. So this says that's when you have a sense when that's sustained over a period of time, and that is what he said the other day. I'm sure everybody out there remembered, and he said when that's sustained over a period of time, that you can see it coming one of that. That's what he was saying the other day. Now the scientists tell us that they are constantly modelling the data, and they're constantly looking at those states. We should also remember that there is always a lag of a couple of weeks in the hospitalisation and death rate data behind the actions that we've taken to try to show it down, because that's the nature of the disease. It comes as the World Health Organization. He's also offered a dire alert as well, and the warning about the dangerous causes and consequences of relaxing the rules too early. Now, the warnings came as the number of UK deaths due to this COVID-19 surged past 7,000 the other night, and experts. I mean, as I say all the time, experts. What do they know, experts? They've been saying stuff about it as well. And the other night, the expert, as I said, Sung Kyu, professor of epidemical Seoul National University, who has been critical to South Korea's response, and they said that when these cases dropped to below 50 for a fortnight, it would be possible to move to gradual recovery. Now, speaking at a briefing for science journalists, Proof Cho, he said of South Korea on February the 29th, which was actually 2 months, would you believe? 2 months. There was the highest number of new cases per day, and the curve has moved downwards for the past few weeks, which is true because it has. And now it's getting close for 50 new causes per day. And one of the aims is maintaining the new cases below 50 per day for the next 2 weeks to start on the next step strategy for gradual recovery. And we'll read more about that in a bit. But first, lovely to have your company on this fine day. I just thought I'll just obviously kick the show off with that, because there are a lot of things going on at the moment. So I just thought I'll just kick off with that. We'll talk a bit more about that later on, and we'll see how we go with that. We'll talk more later on. Another story that I'm going to talk about in a moment is about suffers from anxiety, called Sonny, his name is, and they've been heightened since it first started. And this story, I've read it already. It's a really good story, so what I'll do is I'll read it in a moment. But it's lovely to have your company. I hope everyone out there had a lovely Easter. Lovely, and I hope you had a great weekend as always. But of course, it's now over. It's all over. I'm here, of course, all this week from 10 till 10:45. So you've got to put up with me all week, as I said yesterday. Yep, you've got to put up with me. Yeah, you have. You have got to put up with me. It's a shame, but you have to. You've got to put up with me. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Okay, so let's talk about this other story now, because an autistic child's future was unclear as the council says no to preferred school. Now, completing year 6 and moving on to big school. Now, this was bad for me as well. When I left school, primary school, it was very upsetting for me. But it's the same with this person as well. So he's in an exciting, and he's in a very bad nerve, and he's racking time for any child, because it's hard for any child leaving another school to go on to another place, which is true because I had it when I was younger. So before they know, it will be the first day at secondary school, which I didn't really want to leave my school, but then I did, and then I went to secondary school and I loved it, and I didn't want to leave that school either. So they're in the exact situation as me, by the sound of it. They will be getting to grips with new classes, making new friends, and growing up, which didn't really work for me. But it did work in a way. It did work in a way, which is very good. So this sadly may not be the case for one young Royston boy and his mum. They've been fighting tooth and nail to give him the future he deserves. Sonny Naskell is his name. They're from Royston. And 10, and he has autism and is undergoing the UNDRELS admissions process for secondary school. Now, Sonny and his parents, Terry and Jason, have their signs set on a special educational needs unit at the Cabin, which is called the Cabin, and it's at Comberton Village College, which is not in our county, it's actually in Cambridgeshire. So due to Sonny's autism, he has an education, health and care plan, and that's EHCP, which I know very well about that. I know a lot about that. Now this means that the local authority, which is Hertfordshire County Council, which is the local council around this area, they ultimately have the final say on what secondary school he attends, and has decided the best school for him, and it's somewhere else, despite the mainstream choice and not having a specific unit for children with special educational needs. Now, Terry and Jason are now fighting the decision to help give their child the best education that he deserves, and which they believe is a Comberton as well. Is that Comberton, of course? Now, Terry, 46, he said, she said, we were doing the regular school admission process like everybody else does at the start of year 6 and for year 7. We went and viewed some schools, and there was a couple that Sonny didn't like. He got quite emotional, but he really liked the Cabin at Comberton, and he said, when can I start here, Mum? He said, I love it here. We named it on his special application form, funny enough, that we wanted Comberton, and then it went to an approval panel, which is amazing, really. He came back and said, he said no, because another school has been named for him to go to as well. Now, he's nearly 11 years old, but he's got the learning ability for 6 or 7 years old. 11 years old? He looks nothing like 11 years old. No, he's 10 years old, but he doesn't look 11. But their agreement is we can't keep him in a mainstream school, apparently, as everything for Sonny is a bit off a battle, really, and really it's never straightforward, and everything is really quite stressful for them as well, which is, well, it's true, isn't it? And he suffers from anxiety, and that's obviously heightened since all of this started. He said, I've had a conversation with the head of provision at Cabin Comberton, who is quite happy to work with Sonny. He's offered him a place, which is very good, actually. His name is on the admission list, and there's a place for him, but it actually went back to appeal again for a second time for the HEC. They are still saying no. Now, Terry believes it is a lack of funding. Well, obviously, I don't think he'll be able to go anywhere at the moment because of all this going on, so they won't be going back to school for ages. It's a person that their request is actually to be this, because we're in Hertfordshire, of course. Well, cool. And the school is in Cambridgeshire. See, the same thing happened with me. Yeah, the same thing exactly happened with me. It's all, you know, when I started school, it was all to do with the pill, because I went to school in Cambridgeshire as well, but also Hertfordshire, then Cambridgeshire, and then back into Hertfordshire again, I think. That's what we did. But the local authority aren't actually prepared to pay, she said. And all of these friends are happy, and they are saying that we're going here, and we're going there. Well, Sonny hasn't even got a school to go in. Hertfordshire County Council spokesman said, we cannot commit or comment in individual cases for confidential reasons, which is true. However, we anticipate that meditation with this family will continue as normal, and unless the current coronavirus outbreak impacts happen upon, which has happened, then the work of the team, in which case we'll actually consider alternative arrangements. Due to the recent coronavirus outbreaks, plans of meditation, which happened in May, is likely to be put on hold, meaning Sonny may have to wait longer to start secondary school, which is true. The whole coronavirus business has just been, well, a massive pie in the face, really. It has, which is true. It's been a massive pie in the face because everything that has been planned so far, like the, meditation and potential generalisations, this is what she said, by the way, is all up in the air. So that's going to set us, well, back even further, said Terry. Now, the meditation would be undertaken by the company. Kids Meditation, it's called, and it's at Sonny's primary school. And it wouldn't be so heartbreaking at Comperton, and they're even offering him a place as well, which is amazing. So his anxiety gets so bad that he gets upset, stomach aches, and that is exactly what I got, because I had stomach aches as well when I was very upset when I was leaving primary school. It's all the same as me. I mean, I'm looking at this now, and I'm thinking, oh my God, the exact same things happened with me, because it's true, because it did. It happened with me when I left school. I mean, I was very upset and very anxious, and it's happened here as well. And I'm just looking at this, and I'm going, I've jumped back and I've gone, wow. Because I had this as well. I had the exact same thing. But he said that we may get this in a Masgrime school. Now, he is extremely unverted, and he's never been a screamer or a shouter. Well, actually, I have been a screamer and a shouter, actually, to be honest. He's never been aggressive. I haven't, or violent. I've never been aggressive or violent either. And he only gets very anxious, like myself. His anxiety is going to increase massively, and it's just going to make him ill. So if anyone out there has got this, if anyone out there has got anxiety, depression, and all of that, then talk to somebody. You could always dial. I think it's the children service is Child Line. I'm not sure what that line is, or the NSPCC or Samaritans. I'm not sure what the adult ones are though. I'll have to find that one out and see if I can find that. So. She said my son actually wants to go into school and he wants to learn. My son likes to go into school, but now he's saying to me, what's the point in going to school, Mum? There's not a place for me in September. Well, this has all been going on. It has naturally put an emotional strain on Terry as well, and her Sonny as well. And he went into school last week, and all the other children were talking about which school they were going to, and asking him what school did he get, she said. Now, the mums have also been talking in the playground about it all, and well, she said, I'm sort of just there, crying into my cup of tea, which is true. It's awful, and I suffer with anxiety myself anyway. Wow, she suffers from it as well. She said, I don't sleep much now, and it's all a constant worry. And she said, it's the last thing I think I need before I go to sleep. And the thing I think about is... That is the first thing I think about first thing in the morning. She sort of sat down at the dinner table the other day, and I cried like I'd never cried before. And she said to her husband, "I haven't cried like my mum died." She said, since her mum died. She basically said she hasn't cried like how she cried then since her mum died. So it's just an uncertainty, and she keeps saying to her husband and to herself, and that I cannot do it, and I know I can, but she said, I know I can, and it's just mean, and it's just that this is knowing nothing, basically, and as a parent, it's our job to ensure everything's okay, and to make sure our child is in the best sort of place, I suppose, and as a parent, it's our job as well to keep an eye on them, and I'm not being unresignable, not asking for him to go in, but I just want him to go and think it will all be okay, and and I'm not going down with the fight, she said, and give him a chance and prove that you're all strong. So there you go. What I want to know is what's going to happen after the secondary school. That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. But let's talk a bit about sports now, because for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the mental well-being at the players is one of the most important issues during the lockdown. Now, football has been taking a backseat while the world fights the coronavirus pandemic, and he's been saving lives and stopping the spread of all the disease, an ultimate goal. But for Manchester United boss Sologosi Unshin, sorry, it's me trying to say stuff. I can't say a lot of things very right. Now his players get through the enforced break with their mental health intact, and it is a huge challenge and responsibility. Now Jack Grealish and Cole Walker are two players who have breached lockdown rules and suffered a public backlash with Solskjaer. I can't say a lot of people's names because